everybody. We are back with yet another episode of the Too Skilled to Fail video cast. Today, I have a great and wonderful guest. I will say without any hesitation that this is somebody that's made even this podcast right here in my home possible. She is Sherry Strothers right here. She was the realtor that got me into the place. But beyond that, Sherry is doing amazing things right here in the community in Las Vegas. She is running for City Council Woman for Ward 1 in North Las Vegas. Sherry, thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me. Thank you. And thanks for that wonderful introduction.
Hey, we got so much more about you to share with the audience right now, but I actually wanted to give that introduction. I love, if anyone watches the show, they know, I love giving that introduction of where we met too. So meeting those strangers, one of the things, I don't know if you even knew the full story, but one of the things for us meeting was I gave up on my last realtor the last minute, and I was like, I'm going to just figure out this other house. And you called me within 2 minutes
right.
of me submitting about a house, and your warmth and your connection right there was, I was like, okay, I want to work with her. I want to work with her.
And honestly, when I met you, I mean, everything about that meeting was so cool. You knew what you wanted. You were so focused. I mean, I enjoyed meeting you, and now I love our relationship.
Yeah, that's actually, and that's great that we took it off of the house. Now the house is done, and so typically you just say, okay, we're done. Right. There you go, thank you, and move on. But something about us, just we wanted to keep connecting. So I definitely want to jump into getting into what you are doing right now when it comes to being a city councilwoman, because that is just like a praise in itself. To me, it's such a huge undertaking for you to kind of do that. What does that mean for you to be running for city councilwoman?
Well, in this day and age with so much going on, as you sit around and you see things happening, you could either sit on the sidelines and wonder why it's happening or jump in there and do your part. I decided that I wanted to see some changes occur, and I couldn't make it happen with fighting with people on Facebook. That just wasn't working. So I looked around and I saw where I could make change. When I was in the Navy, a really wonderful executive officer told me once, because I was trying to change everything in the command, right? And he stopped me and he said, Sherry, you can only control what is within the scope of your umbrella. And I've used that as my tool to guide me, because if I want to change everything, I know I can't do it. So I look and see what is within that perimeter that I can control. And so as I looked to make some change, I looked around, I saw that the city council seat within my ward was coming available, and I decided that I want to get in there and make those changes in Ward 1 myself.
That'd be amazing. So let's talk about that. Let's dig a little more, because for me, I'm thinking, okay, it's available, it's out there, but have you ever ran for any type of politics? Have you ever been involved or anything? The military is something to be, proud of and get involved in. And if you were moving up the ranks, that's one thing. This is a whole opportunity to be part of a city officiant, if you will. What brought you to kind of say, I would like to be running for that? And did you know anything about politics to begin with?
Honestly, never run for anything, never even considered it. I was fortunate enough to go to the DNC. But before I got there, I was at the convention for the Democratic Party. And the local Emerge director walked up to me after I had given a speech and won the opportunity to go to the DNC. And so with the Emerge program, it took me a while to figure out that I wanted to apply, because the filling out the whole process was long. You had to get recommendations and that sort of thing. So I filled it out, and then I got in the class. It's six months long. Thoroughly enjoyed it, the sisterhood, the camaraderie, and then having local politicians come in and talk to us and tell us about the process. I'm not saying that it's easy, because it's not, but being a member and an alum of Emerge gave me the tools and the confidence to believe that I can do it. And now with the sisterhood that I've accumulated, I feel like, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely can imagine it. I mean, one, going in by myself, you have to figure out where do you start?
Right.
Where's your support going to come from, especially if you don't have a large family base or friend base out here. And even if you do, as we know, that's not always our first
No.
supporters. So to have a team of supporters that are naturally there, and they just to understand Emerge a little bit more, can you tell us a little bit more about how the Emerge group came along? Are they just for policies and politics, or what is it, what is the Emerge program about?
So the Emerge program is actually designed to teach women how to run for office. It was actually created for Vice President Harris. When she won her attorney general seat there in California, she was frustrated that there was no infrastructure, there was no guidance on how to do this. And so Emerge was created. And so now we make recommendations of people to go. And the program is around the country. Every state has one. And it teaches us how to run for office. Everybody that goes through the program won't run. Some of us will become campaign managers or managers or help in other endeavors. But you get a peek behind the curtain and you see what it's like. It's really good.
Yeah, I love that. So right now we're in a season. I mean, where we're at right now, you're in a stage, I'll say, not call it a season. You're in one stage of the process, and this is just you just saying that this is what you want to do. But there's so many different layers to this, as I understand from you, that you definitely have to go and kind of make your formal announcement. And right now, campaigning and just getting out there and getting your followers and get your supporters and donors together. What has that been like for you?
It's been a learning curve. And one thing that I've found is that the people you think are going to be there riding with you aren't necessarily going to be there. And then the people that you think like, oh, I don't really want to ask them for help, they're up front. Even like with you. I mean, you came to my kickoff celebration. You've donated to my campaign. I mean, you've been phenomenal.
Thank you.
And what I've really enjoyed about this process is seeing the people that are really going to have your back. It also teaches you how to get thick skin because you got to call a lot of people asking for money. And that's not something we're normally comfortable doing, but it's a necessary evil. And also knowing what people want, getting out, talking to the people in the community, and then what you think is the problem, you find out is not necessarily the problem.
Right, yeah, and that's the only way to know exactly what you're going for. And we'll talk about, I want you to get in more depth about what you're running for, what you're looking to change within the community. Once you win, we'll put that out there. But in order to know like really what is happening in North Las Vegas, you live there. I get that. But how much information do you have, about the people out there? And they need to get to know you. You're Sherry Strothers, who is the realtor in my eyes, and that's what I'm known. You're Sherry Strothers, who's the parent, who's the ex-military. But Sherry Strothers as a representative, what are you doing to represent this, North Las Vegas? How do you give back to North Las Vegas? What history do you have in the community to kind of bring back something to us? And so if you can share that, I know I'll say, because I was at your campaign, your kickoff, I did get to hear some of your stories. So if you can share however much of your story you would like to of why you got driven to be a part of the North Las Vegas and for Ward 1 and what the changes you look to make.
Well, that journey here, because you never know where you're going to end up, right? People that are from Nevada and Las Vegas, they're pretty proud of that. That's one of the things you hear all the time. But I had the privilege of choosing to be here. I'm from Chicago, born and raised, extremely proud of that. I served in the Navy for 30 years. So I've traveled and lived all over the country. But when I decided to make my roots, I kind of looked at Las Vegas. Honestly, when I first chose Las Vegas, it was to be on the Strip, to be a part of the action and all that good stuff. But I got here just before the lockdown of COVID. And I was in a studio apartment right across the street from the Stratosphere. So I rode COVID out by myself in isolation. And during that time, my perspective shifted. What used to be important wasn't important anymore. And then my youngest granddaughter was diagnosed with brain cancer at the age of 3. So I was back and forth there. And so with all of that and being locked down and seeing the world changing through social media, I just found that things aren't as important as they used to be. And so my gift and my worth to North Las Vegas is the fact that I chose to be there. I chose North Las Vegas specifically where I am because I am 10 minutes from Nellis Air Force Base, and I'm less than 5 minutes from the VA hospital, which, by the way, is phenomenal. Best care I've ever had. But I chose that area specifically because as a veteran, in my real estate job, I wanted to work with those people. That transition on and off the base and coming to a new city and trying to learn your way around, I wanted to be there to help the people there. But as I've lived where I'm at, I see there's a lot of things that could be done better. There was an opportunity to put a homeless shelter for our veterans right near the VA hospital, and that was shot down. There was an opportunity to have a rent cap, and that was shot down. There's just so much going on. I've talked to people that live out there. Crime is an issue. I've talked to the police department there. They feel like they need more people. In fact, in North Las Vegas, they get paid less than the officers in Vegas and Henderson. And so how do you attract quality people if you're the lowest paying people on the block, right? So there's just a lot of places and a lot of attention that could be brought toward one. And I feel that it's time that someone works for the constituents, the people that live there, because local politics affect you immediately. Unlike federal, you know every time something happens locally, it's going to hit you right off the bat.
Absolutely. What are some of the things that you've been able to experience? So you talked about, you talked to different people in the communities and you saw some things. What are some things you've been able to experience to where it shifted just in this campaign? Like, okay, so having a conversation with the officers, what shifted from where you first started with this campaign?
Well, that's a good question because before getting into the campaign, I would see the police officers. I'm thinking that everything is working great. Where I live, I don't see a lot of crime, so I was unaware that there were any real problems. But as I talk to people that live in other areas, because my ward encompasses part of the original part of North Las Vegas, where the downtown area is, it's somewhat neglected. And people that live in those areas have a different experience than I do. And so as I talk to them and I find that they don't feel safe, they're concerned about their cars, even crosswalks, children crossing the street, that's an issue. And then talking to the local police officers and then finding out that they don't feel that they're being taken care of sufficiently. It changed the way that I looked at everything because now I know that we've got to figure out a way to pay them better. We've got to find a way to attract quality people and to keep them there because we have a big turnover.
Mm-hmm. And I can imagine, I'm listening to you speak, and I can imagine that the emerging group, that whole 6 months that you did with them and graduating from there, that was one boost of confidence. But something about me already says that I would love for you to talk about a little bit more of your history, who you are, Sherry Strothers. But you speak with such conviction. And you have always been this way, very, very bold, very convicted. Like, how did you find your voice, or when did you feel like you found your voice? And some people say, when I was in high school and I was speaking on of something, I was on the debate team personally. So different things, that's when I found my voice, when I basically, in my opinions, I felt like my opinions started to matter. And so with this, when did you find your voice, or are you still finding that voice here in Las Vegas?
Well, I have found my voice. I learned to be true to myself, but I found that in the Navy. Mm-hmm. I left Chicago when I was 19 years old, and I went off to boot camp, and that was my first exposure to people of other nationalities, cultures, so forth and so on. And as I grew up, because in the military as a whole, the age group that they recruit is 17 to 21. So we're practically children. Mm-hmm. And as you grow into who you are, working in an environment, because I came in the 80s, there was no definition of sexual harassment and all of that. And so men could say what they wanted to you. As long as they didn't touch you, there was no problem. And so as a young woman growing up, I learned to stand up for myself. And I was stuck in the junior ranks for a very long time. That was my fault because I didn't study. But what that gave me was the opportunity to be at the bottom for a long time. When I finally got an opportunity to be promoted, I found the value of following as well as leading. And because I was a junior person so long, when I got leadership, I always made sure that junior people had a voice. And so having them come to me and say, oh, thank you, I really appreciate you doing this for me and that for me, made me feel really confident in that. And so I trust my instincts and I love my perspective, but I know I'm not always right. And when I'm not right, I'm willing to say, hey, I got that wrong and readjust.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. I definitely wanted to hear that. And just, again, you were so convicted when you speak and understanding. And I can only imagine there are some things that you're going to learn, a lot of things you're going to learn throughout this time.
Yes, ma'am.
What does that look like? What are the things that you have to, I guess, adjust yourself along the way, and how much effort are you going to have to put into, like, making sure you do what's right for War One?
Exactly.
Right?
Well, because you don't know what you don't know, right? And
I'm saying that because in my mind, I'm just like, I wouldn't even know how to start. So I'm intrigued by you going out and campaigning and you getting out there, like shaking babies' hand. What is it? Kissing babies and shaking hands.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Okay, I can do that part. That sounds easy enough. But now it's, again, donations. It's talking. It's speaking to the people, and then also making any adjustments. And when you do, get that honor and win, I speak everything into existence. When you do get that honor and you win, it's now, okay, now it's go time. Now it's the real work. Now it's time for me to put in work in the community. Where do I start? In my mind, again, I'm still at, where do I start? So are you already predicting, like, kind of like your first week in office, if you will? I'm not sure if they call it in office, but your first week.
Well, I actually, because there's a big learning curve. But as I'm learning and as I'm progressing and meeting people in the community, I am kind of seeing what are going to be my first to do things. There are things that we can do that are easy. Finding a way to get those white lines on the streets so babies can walk across the streets safely. I know that because I did speak to the fire department in North Las Vegas as well. One of the things that the problems they have is not so much that they don't have enough people. They don't have enough locations. And so right now they've identified 4 places, but we don't have the money in the budget. Maybe we could do something like mobile, temporary places for them. So there are those things that are high on my agenda. I don't know that I'll get everything done, but for me, I feel like if I'm doing it for the right reasons, if I really, really care, I can make a lot of good things happen. I may not be able to get it all, but I want to get some of it because just like you said, this is a big umbrella for me. Right. This is beyond anything I've ever done. And so learning and being open-minded is where I think I'll benefit the most.
Absolutely. I'm sure these are not questions that you're going to be asked later, or they are, but at the same time, I feel like, your responses are so genuine. You and I could talk about all kind of stuff within the what you're working on in community and things like that. And so when you get to that point, I don't know I just see it on TV. But when you get to that point and they ask you all these questions, and I feel like, everything you've thought about already is amazing. And I feel like you're going to come up with some more things that you want to work out throughout this campaign. How many months is it?
Actually, we file in March and the election starts in June.
Okay.
And those are the
quick.
Primaries.
Okay. It's definitely quick. Okay. And they get to know you, and you get to know more about the city and what's going on. So that's really good. If somebody would have told you 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, that you were going to be running for office for the city of Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, what would that have been like to you? What response would you say?
Girl,
Oh,
I
really?
would have laughed. Here. I wouldn't have even considered it.
Right, right. And so it's your calling. So I want to get into that. So it's just like divine timing, if you will, or it's like it's right now. It's a question for you too. But what is it now that says this is my time to run for office now? It felt good. It felt right. I woke up out of a dream. I don't know what it is. What called you to say this is what I want to do? Other than that, it could have been a Facebook ad, but
Well, everything about where I'm at in this moment is so odd. When I went to the Democratic convention, I went there, I was involved, but I wasn't involved. And actually, where I parked, I wasn't certain of. And I was going to leave. And then a lady was coming out and she was trying to make sure her car wasn't parked in the wrong place too, right? So we walked in the parking lot, checked, and then we went back in together. I wanted to go to the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, but I didn't sign up in time. And so I said, oh, they're never going to consider me. I didn't sign up. And so as I'm sitting there, as they're calling people, they called my name. What the? So I got up and I spoke about why, because my why are my grandbabies. I have two granddaughters. One is special needs. And my reason for being there, my reason for fighting to try to make sure people vote and all this other good stuff was to try to secure a future for them. And I spoke. And then the people in the room had to vote on the person, two people they felt should represent at the DNC. And lo and behold, I won that. And then when I walked away from there, that's when the director here at the local Emerge walked up to me and talked to me about joining the program, which then led to me running for office. So it was all kind of happenstance because any one thing, it wouldn't have happened. So I feel like I'm doing what I should be doing. And it is where I'm supposed to be at this moment.
Yeah. What's the number one thing you hope to accomplish in the next couple of months, just gearing up into this program, and then even once into this honorship, and then even going beyond that, whichever one, before or after? What's one thing you really want to accomplish?
I want to put a spotlight on Ward 1. It is a part of the original North Las Vegas. I want that downtown area to get the respect that it deserves. I want us to really get in there and revitalize it. Where the courthouse and the big police station are, those should be our showcase areas. And I want those places to look like that. I want it to feel important. North Las Vegas is the fastest growing area of all of Las Vegas right now. And so getting a spotlight there, I've got 3 high schools in that ward. There are a lot of apprenticeships with the local unions here. We have some really strong, powerful unions here, and they have a lot of apprenticeship programs. I want to make sure that our students are getting those opportunities for those apprenticeships. So the next couple of months is me knocking on doors, making sure people know who I am, why I'm doing this, and hoping that they understand that this isn't about a position. It's about a calling. I want to do what I can to make things better.
Absolutely. And I know there's a lot of opportunities. You say knocking on doors. There's other opportunities on marketing and things like that and strategy. So getting online and doing social media things and kind of boosting yourself up there and making sure people know who you are. You are obviously involved in the community here in Las Vegas. And so being able to go to those events, I'm sure that's where you get a lot of kind of connections in real life, real time, to meet people to say, this is who I am. This is who I am in full flesh.
Right.
Right. So that's really good. And I think that we all have to do that. And so this is just my networking spiel to just remind people to network. I say network. I speak to everyone. I do not mind.
Girl, you are the master of a network, okay? You know how to network.
I will talk to anybody, whenever, wherever. I will speak to somebody. If I look like that person just needs a smile, or they just frown a little hard, I am going to try to speak to that person and kind of change things around a little bit, or get to know them. I'm interested in everyone else's story, which then I start to tell mine. They're like, oh, I'm interested. I'm like, no, I want to hear your story. They're like, I'm interested in your story. No, I want to hear your story. And so I think that your networking kind of is going to just definitely grow as you just keep on talking to people and getting out there and going to events. Wearing your badge so they know who you are.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. So this is what we need to do, everybody. I always tell people, network, network, network. And don't be afraid to ask. Have I had to knock on doors? You know what? Actually, I have. I was that child who was knocking on the doors to sell, was it beef jerky back in the day? Cookies when I was in Girl Scouts. It was, what else did we sell? Popcorn.
I remember that.
So I was happy to be that one to do that. Like I guess that was my first original networking. I don't know, knocking on doors. Am I campaigning for a cause? And whether it had been a sports program, whether it had been for the Girl Scouts and whatever we were doing with that, I was always willing to kind of get out there and do stuff. And so I think that be the mindset that I'd have to turn on now if I were to be in a position where I was trying to run for something, which I'm not.
You could.
No.
You really could.
Like, we gonna say no.
You're one of the most fearless people I know.
We're gonna say no. I'm gonna be the supporter. I'm okay with that too. I'm gonna play my position. I understand my position is to be a supporter when it comes to somebody like you who will actually go out there and run for office. I like to be able to, have people like you on the show and be able to talk and dig in and learn and kind of get in depth with, how did you do that? Wouldn't that come up? Like, when that thought pop in your mind? What, and here's a question for you. What makes you lose sleep now? And this is just in general. What keeps you up at night? And then what settles you? Because we'd always ask what keeps you up at night. You hear, what's keeping you up at night? That's the therapist trying to help you with your problems. But what's also settling you right now?
What keeps me up at night is still the future that my granddaughters are going to inherit. I want them to have the ability to control what happens to their bodies. I want women to continue to be independent. And I fear that we're losing that. So that keeps me up at night. What settles me, what makes me have hope, is when I see women, not just myself, but the other women that I know that are jumping into the fight. When I see the people that are on TV that are not afraid to speak up and push back against the things that we don't agree with, that gives me hope, because as long as we stay unified, we have power. And that makes me feel good about the future.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I feel like, what I feel like it's women have so much more of a voice. And we were talking about, me and my guy, we were talking about how there's so many more women, heroes, right? In the movies, there's so many, even something as simple as and not simple, very important, but as a woman DJ, you see so many more women. So it's like women are actually just, coming out and they're speaking and they're being total bosses. Let's just say it like that. They're being total bosses, whether the movie industry, when it comes to politics, you're starting to hear and see women just kind of share and show their voice. And I think that's a lot of ways because they need the support. They need allies. They need people to pump them up and get them and say, yes, we are going to support you, women. And eventually it won't be just because it's not because you are a woman. Hopefully,
right.
Hopefully we'll see that too eventually, but it's because you do have something important to say. You have something to give back. You have something that people want to hear about. So we want to, hey, let me help you get to the forefront. Sherry, let me help you get to the forefront. Me, again, I'm okay to come and support. What can I do to help you? Like, how many doors do I need to knock on? Let me get a jacket because it's cold.
Right.
But let me get a jacket and we're going to go knock on some doors. Who do I need to speak to? Because I can do that. Remember, told you, Girl Scouts. I got you.
Right.
But you need people that are going to be allies and help support you and get you up there.
And I just want to add one thing to that. In that fight, as women continue to be the bosses that they are, that doesn't mean we don't love men.
We need them still.
We're not fighting with them. We're not competing with them. And I just like to add that caveat because I have had people talk to me and they feel that as Even Emerge, it's that program helps women, but there's nothing that are helping men. And so there's no competition here. Just want to put that out there.
And I will say, this is my opinion, but there's so many other opportunities. Not all men. I'm saying, there's some men. There is more opportunities for men than there have been women. So we got to have a balance. We can't help them. We can't help everybody all the time. We got to start somewhere. But I do feel like there was always historically more opportunities for men, not always men of color, but there was more opportunities for men. So therefore, I mean, if someone has that complaint, I get it. But if we really look at it, there's more opportunities. Women are finally speaking up and speaking out, and I say finally, but we've had so many different things going on where women can, vote and think over all these years, but we're still at a point to where we still need that voice at the table. We need that extra additional support. We need that invite in, and we typically feel we need the invite. But I think what's happening is women's like, I don't need an invite. I'm on my way. I'm in the door.
Kick the door down.
Yeah, I'm on my way. Move out the way. I'm there before you get there because I'm gonna be on time too.
Right?
I'm gonna be on time for this. So I think that's where, to me, I feel like that's where we're at right now. Me as my personal self is I've always been a woman, a female, a child who wanted to kind of speak up and speak out, but I got quieted from my mother, or just my elders who were more so like, we don't do that.
Right.
We don't make too much noise. If you do too much, you'll seem too loud. And so I respected it until I didn't. And I was like, no, I'm going to speak up. I'm going to speak out. I'm going to say what I need to say. Mind you, I had to find my tact. I always talk about that, but I had to find my tact because if you don't speak up and you don't have the authority to speak up in your mind, someone's telling you not to, you start just blurt. I was just belligerent at the beginning when I was like, oh, I got a voice and I could use it. But I had to learn to tone that down and figure, like, when I'm in public spaces or when I'm in an environment, not to offend somebody. Right? Think about what you're saying. Think about what's your expectation, what's the outcome that you feel you're trying to get when you say whatever you're trying to say, and make sure you're saying it so it doesn't cause like a negative impact or a rift in the conversation.
Well, we Generation X, we're the first group of women that had independence. Women got the right to have a credit card in their name in the mid-'70s.
Oh, and I didn't know that.
Yes, I believe it was 1974, 1978, but it was in the 70s. That was when we got that opportunity. Like, all of what we grew up as the first generation of women that didn't have to have a man. And so our mothers had to marry. They had to have that. And so they did try to tamp us down because that's all that they knew. And so we're the most emboldened group as we pass that on. But it's terrifying some people, see? And they want us back to where we used to be. And I absolutely refuse to see that happen.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I couldn't even imagine. Again, I was born late, the last of the 70s. And then grew up just feeling like this was just a give, and not grew up, to an extent. When I was old enough to learn, and, you learn in junior high or elementary school, you learn about Martin Luther King, you've been learning about civil rights acts and things like that. But as a kid, you're just like, okay, can I go play now?
Right.
And then when I got older and I'm like, oh, okay, so that just happened. In my mind as a kid, I don't know about you, but in my mind, when I was learning history, and we have our camera guy here, so I would love for, just his yes or no. But when you're learning history about what happened in the history, I always felt like that was so long ago.
Yes.
And I didn't realize, did that happen for you, camera guy offset? He's saying yeah. But, and just because he's, in a different generation and, behind, us. But I didn't realize, that was just 10 years ago. That was just 15 years ago. That was just, shoot. I'm thinking they talking about history like it's an old dusty book they teaching us out of. No, this stuff just happened. This is a fresh printed book.
Yes. Our parents experienced the Jim Crow.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yep. Yeah. And so for my mother, and she didn't tell us stuff. We were kids, so she didn't tell us everything. When she started talking, she was born and raised in Louisiana. So when she started talking about the white water faucets and the black water faucets and different stuff like that, I'm like, huh? I go to school looking for signs. We don't have no signs at our school. We don't have no signs. Like, they had it before. Like, maybe it's still imprinted there. She's like, no, that's really what happened. I was like, I don't know. That just must have been a long time ago. And it wasn't.
Well, ironically, when I went to school, there was always one faucet, two fountains
Oh yeah.
One was always higher.
Taller than the other one.
And I always thought that was
I
for
wonder
the
if they
short
took the
people.
sign.
That is what that was.
Oh, so I remember that happened there too.
Oh, right. See, there was a sign there.
It wasn't an ADA thing? Like
no,
an ADA?
no, that's what I'm saying. So though there were two fountains.
There was.
And one was subordinate and one was, that's what that was about.
Okay.
Look, they removed the signs, but all the evidence is still there.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't recognize it.
Yeah. Okay. We've come far. We got so much further to go.
Yes.
I know every whether you're a politician or not, we know. And then with social media being so prevalent and we can see and hear everything. Well, then again, it's changing on us though, because this whole AI is throwing me off.
Yeah.
It really is, because now you're like, what is real? I mean, we never knew. Here's the thing. I could say, honestly, we never knew what was real or fake because someone can always spin this situation. I remember learning that again. I was debate team, learning about spinning news and spinning conversations. I remember being in high school, my first, freshman, sophomore years of high school, being on the debate team. I was talking about spinning the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't understand really what it meant, but I knew, you pay attention to all the different fallacies that could be happening or whatever. And now I'm like, oh, okay. We still spinning it. Now we spinning it and adding technology on top of the spin. There was always a little bit of that, but I saw something about cutting like a conversation that they were having in Congress and making it sound like it was a worse conversation because they were cutting up the videos and putting the word, seamlessly cutting things up. And I mean, I'm sure this is age old. This is nothing new, but the spotlight is on everything that people are doing now. They're going to be called out for everything. Not to say that everyone gets held to the fire the same, but they're calling more things out when it comes to like changing the narrative on stuff. The only problem, like I said, the AI is throwing me off.
You see videos, you don't even know if they're real.
They look real.
I know.
It sounds real. So if anybody sees me doing anything I'm not supposed to do, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I definitely want to get, kind of as we are going to wrap up our conversation, because we could talk about this all day. I know there's a lot of different initiatives you're doing and knocking on doors and things like that and campaigning. How can someone be a part of your campaign? Do you have a campaign manager yet?
I do.
Okay.
Well, Dana, she is actually the Emerge director I told you about. Right now, she's leading my campaign. But to help me, if you go to my website, it's www.sherry, SHERRY, for Nevada, NEVADA.com. And you can sign up to volunteer. You can donate money. And you can also order signs for your yard, T-shirts and things like that. At this point, every little penny helps. You can donate $5, $10. There's no amount that is too small. Mm-hmm. And that helps me because I have to buy the literature. I've got to do the marketing and so forth and so on. But I would appreciate any of the help. And right now, as we ramp things up, my opponent, she's very well financed. So going to my website, www.sherryfornevada.com, and you can do anything you need to help.
Thank you. We need to hear that, and that's the way to contact you and get information over to you. If there's anything else you needed, again, people knocking on doors, volunteers and things like that, what type of volunteer opportunities are there?
Right now, the volunteer opportunities are going to be phone calling. We're really going to start the door knocking closer to the end and early year because the voting starts in June. Okay. And so if we're knocking too soon, people aren't going to remember us. Right now, donations are more important because I'm doing the mail outs, doing the social media posts, and trying to establish a relationship now.
Oh, excellent. Well, I'm here to help. I'm here to support. What I'm hoping with this platform and being able to do with the platform is, one, bring awareness to what the campaigning was like, what it looked like, for you to kind of start the journey, which you talked about, but also just how it felt to kind of just get on board and sign up for something that you believe in. That's amazing that you're doing that, especially at this time right now. Time of the year, even I'm talking about literally time of the year's end of the season of the year, starting into the new year. So 2026, we definitely want to see you running, winning, surviving, striving, and then making changes within your community. And I know if you're helping out North Las Vegas. That's the area that they have appointed. You would be appointed, but for that to spread across, whether it be Nevada, the rest of Nevada, just your word and getting things out there. I would love to be able to do that as we're on two different sides of the city. But for us to just between North and then South Las Vegas, for us to kind of spread the word, I'm here to help you.
Oh,
Just know that.
you've always been amazing. So I don't not believe you won't do that. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely would do that. Okay. Well, listen, say thank you so much. We are going to wrap up here, but we are going to continue our conversation. I'm going to post. We're going to get some extra things going on. If you would like to support Sherry Strothers, she let you know how to find her. I'll make sure that it is up here as well on the screen so you can find out how you can support Sherry Strothers with Ward 1, North Las Vegas City Council woman. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back for more Too Skilled to Fail podcast, video cast, so much more going on. We have the swag and merch, and so I'll make sure all that's linked in the bio. Let me know if you have any questions or if you would like to be on the show. Thank you.